The next one here, is targeting. And targeting discusses, this is going to be more about who are we going after, right? What type of leads do we want? Now, the main goal of this is that we want better buyers with repeat volume, right? When it comes to B2B business, what is powerful about business to business sales is if you do a good job, that customer should become a long-term customer with you, right? If it is a contractor that builds dental offices and you knock it out of the park on the first dental office and everything goes smoothly, you deliver amazing quality, your service is there, you've got a good price point that transmits great value to that GC, they should want to use you over and over and over again. So that is the power of the B2B sale. I would say it's passive, but it's not passive income because you're having to do the work over and over again. But all of that effort to procure that customer becomes an ongoing relationship that will feed you business for as long as you keep delivering and doing what you say you're going to do and transmitting the quality and service that they expect. When it comes to like residential work, and you're doing retail sales with Susie Homemaker, all that effort you're doing for that one customer is that one sale. Now, there's going to be a lot more margin when you're working with Susie Homemaker. As you get closer to the customer, your margin increases, but you're going to have a lot more involved sales process with Susie Homemaker for one job. When it comes to B2B sales, you're going to have a lot of work in that courting process, right? Almost every significant GC already has a team built that they are working with. So it is going to take some courting. You're going to have to do some bids with them. You're going to have to, earn their trust, stop in, get to know them, maybe take them out to lunch, learn more about, them as a person so that you can get their trust to get that work. Now, once you have that trust, that B2B partner is going to keep giving you work on an ongoing basis. So it is worth it. Now you'll get a little bit less margin in the B2B world, but that work will continue to feed you for years. I mean, we've had some customers in the past that were customers for 10 years. Now, this works whether you're in healthcare sales, you're a professional builder. You can go after B2B sales to feed your pipeline. And I would highly encourage you, if you are a fabricator and you are just doing retail, this is something you really need to think about. Now, another thing is, how do we find these people? Like, how do we find our leads? Like, what do we do? And now, I kind of think before we get into how we find them, we need to think about what type of leads do we want? And there's a couple of ways to look at this, and there's a nuance that I want to point out too. When you're going after commercial work, before you go snag a ton of commercial work, you need to realize one thing. Commercial work does not pay as quickly as retail residential work, right? If you go out and you install Susie Homemaker that you work for directly, she's going to give you a deposit up front or possibly even pay 100% for the job up front. Then you're going to do the job and then she's going to pay you the final balance at that install. So you're pretty much walking away with a check that day that it's installed or the following day, unless you have a really bad customer or something goes wrong and they hold back payment for you. With B2B and commercial work, it might be 2 weeks, a month, 60 days, 90 days before you get paid, right? Some of the bigger GCs that do massive projects, right? You might be on a hospital for 4 months and you might finish that work on January 20th, but you may not get paid until February 28th. A lot of them have 30-day pay cycles or even 60-day pay cycles. So if you don't have lines of credit or you do not have the cash reserves to weather those distances in pay, I probably would start slowly on this and go after smaller projects before I start taking on bigger projects. So I just want to throw that out there because that is something that a lot of people overlook. Is you might be really good at the sales and go win all these projects and you get them all done and then you bill and you're like, oh my God, I'm not going to get paid for 30 to 60 days. Like, how do I pay my bills? Like, I've got employees to pay, right? You should always get a material deposit. Like, you should always get enough deposit to cover your materials. I would say in today's world, if someone is not willing to pay for the materials up front, I'm not sure I would really do work with that individual. General contractors can pretty much always get materials paid for, whether they pay you directly or they do joint check for you and the manufacturer. I probably would not put myself on the line to be floating somebody else's materials. I am not a bank, so you want to get that deposit, whether it's residential or commercial. But just know you're going to have labor incurred on that project, and you may not get your final check for 30 to 60, 90 days. So make sure you have some cushion or a line of credit to float you on that. Now, knowing that, let's talk about who should you go after. Now, I have my own opinions. Some people are going to have different opinions, but I personally like to work with general contractors that are specialty contractors. And the reason for that is specialty contractors that just do dental offices or just do medical or just do restaurants or just do multifamily or just do data centers or airports or big type things. Every single type of sector in the commercial world you can think of, there is a GC that specializes in just those projects. And the reason I like those GCs is if all they're doing is dental offices, they know dental offices inside and out. The projects generally tend to run smoother. The schedules go a little bit better. They've done, 50, 60, 100 dental offices in their portfolio in the past. So there's no surprises, right? It might be your first dental office and you're learning, but if you have questions, you can go to that GC and he's like, oh yeah, we need to do this. We need to think about this, da 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 da. Second type of GC would be just kind of your general GC. And those are GCs that do a bunch of different commercial types of projects. They might do a restaurant this week or a tenant finish out this week, or they might have a medical office, or they might have a spa one week. They've got all these different projects. And that's fine. And there's some GCs that do a good job. The problem is if they haven't done several restaurants or they haven't done several medical offices, there are particular nuances to each type of project. And if it's their first time and they're learning on that project as they go, or they haven't done enough of them to be dialed in, it's going to be rough for you too, because if you have specific questions, they may not have the answer and they might be looking to you for those answers. Now, if you have done a ton of restaurants in your portfolio and you know them inside and out, hey, when this comes along, you could really be in that general contractor's good graces because this is their first restaurant. But hey, I've done 50 of these. I've installed countertops in 50 restaurants before. He might be having questions for you, and this is a way to solidify your professionalism and how you can deliver. So I prefer specialty trades. That's what I would go after if it were me, is go after GCs that are experts in their field. The second one I would go after would be general contractors that do a lot of different work. And then the third tier that a lot of people like, it's residential, but most manufacturers, I work with a lot of manufacturers to build out their sales teams and put these types of structures into place. When it comes to multifamily or custom home builders or production home builders, they kind of list that as like a B2B commercial line because you're going out to earn that business with those residential customers, and they're feeding you continual work. So it kind of works like a commercial process, even though they are doing residential. And so that kind of gets put into the commercial pipeline, even though it is residential. And the difference is you're not working with Susie Homemaker on a one-off. And the way that production builders and how you're trying to get in on their bid lists and things like that, it doesn't quite work like Susie Homemaker. It works a little bit more like the commercial process. There are a few differences if you're doing production home builder work or you're doing multifamily, the way they do their estimating and their quoting and things like that. So I'll probably do a separate video on those. The other thing there would be big box stores. That is an animal in and of itself. And it kind of blurs the line between residential and commercial as far as your approach for it. So we might do a separate video on big box for those of you guys that have questions on that one. But now that you kind of know, hey, these are kind of like the tiers on who I'm going after, where do you find this work? Sorry, I had to take a little bit of a break there. But so now that you kind of know who the main players are and who you're going after, how do you find these people? Like, let's say you were locked in, I want dental general contractors. There's a couple ways that you can do it. Simplest way, open up Google Maps, open up Google and type in dental contractors, San Diego, California, or dental contractors, Phoenix, Arizona. And Google Maps is going to throw up those people on it. You can also use AI like ChatGPT or Claude and say, hey, I am trying to build a lead list. I want to target dental contractors in Phoenix, Arizona or San Diego, California. And they can build you a list of leads. From there, you're going to go to their website, see the type of work they do, and figure out, okay, is this the type of work that I want to be doing? Does their work look quality? Do they have a good-looking GC? Does it look like a good-looking website? Does it look like it was just thrown together overnight? You're going to try and learn a little bit about them, what projects they have done, and go from there. The second way that you can create lead lists is by SIC code. Every type of industry has a specific code to it, and you can use those to look up specific types of businesses based on your SIC code or your NAICS code. So you can use those two to look it up. If you are using those, generally you're working with a specialty lead service. There are programs and websites like Upwork is one that we have used extensively. There are lead development freelancers and lead development companies that you can find. We've worked specifically with a lead development lady on Upwork that her name is Ritu. She's probably been doing leads for us now for 7 years. And Ritu is overseas. I think she costs like $12 an hour. And she does amazing work because where she lives at, I think it's the Philippines, $12 an hour over there is like a $30 or $40 hour employee. The amount of leads you get back for the little money is absolutely fantastic. Now, if you are using something like Upwork and you are using a freelancer that is overseas, the quality of the results you get is going to be equal to the quality of the details and instructions that you give them. So you can't just say, I want dental companies. You're going to need to say, hey, I am looking for dental general contractors in Dallas, Texas, around this radius. They need to do dental offices. They need to be GCs of this size. In fact, I have found 5 dental general contractors that I'm going to send you as an example. These are the avatars of what I need you to find more of. Please find 25 dental GCs that you think I'm looking for. Send those to me. Let me review them before you move on and get more. That's how I would go about that. So you can use services that create leads. You can look for them yourself. It's really up to you on what you want. The main thing is you need to be really clear about what type of customers you want. Now, that's kind of the overview of who you are going to target. And there's no right or wrong on this. It's what is right for you and your company, what's right for your capacity, what your team is skilled at, where you guys think you can excel. You know, I would try and pick 1 or 2 things and become experts at that. That goes a lot further than we're just a jack of all trades, right? You know, if you really want to excel at something, you really need to kind of get laser focus so that you become an expert in that sector and you speak the lingo. So when you're going and meeting these people, you talk the talk and you can walk the walk, right? They know if somebody has done this before or if you're just kind of blowing smoke. If it is a reputable GC, they're going to know. Like, you're not really going to be able to fool them if they are a high quality GC. So that is targeting. That's who I determine who we go after. This is pretty much the process, whether I'm working with a manufacturer, a healthcare company, auto detail company, countertop fabricator, you name it. It's pretty much the same process. We identify who they want to go after, and then we build that lead list using one of those processes. So that is targeting.